Sophie Cunningham, and it's getting ugly already out there. There was a couple of ugly fouls.
This proves there is an agenda against the Indiana Fever. There is an attack agenda.
Sophie Cunningham just sent a message to the entire WNBA, and she did it without saying a word. When the Washington Mystics tried to humiliate her on the court, they didn't just fail, they ignited a firestorm. Caitlin Clark was out, the Fever were shorthanded, and the Mystics smelled blood. But instead of folding under pressure, Sophie Cunningham exploded. Not only did she torch Washington with a game-high 21 points, she stood tall after being violently body-slammed by a rookie who had no idea who she was messing with.
Not too strong there from Olsen. Cunningham pulling down here. Flying colors, and there's the takedown from behind that she didn't like so much. And the
extra. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to upgrade this.
Now attacking Sophie Cunningham. Oh, they're mad. The MAGA Barbies got them angry.
But here's the twist. This wasn't just about one game. This was a turning point for the entire Indiana Fever franchise. Caitlin Clark's absence was shocking. She hadn't missed a single game in 5 years. Not in college, not since joining the pros. But just before tip-off, Coach Stephanie White announced she wouldn't play. Tightness in her leg. It wasn't serious, but it was enough to keep her out. Suddenly, all eyes were on a Fever team that had just lost its biggest weapon. The Mystics took advantage. They came out swinging, fast, physical, and fearless. Indiana got punched in the mouth early. They missed layups. They couldn't find a rhythm. Within minutes, they were down by 15. The game looked over before it even started. Let's take a moment to rewind. Last season, this would have ended with Indiana getting blown out. No fight, no energy, no resistance. But something was different this time, and that difference had a name. Sophie Cunningham. Cunningham, who joined the Fever in the offseason via a 4-team trade, wasn't supposed to be the star. She was expected to be a solid vet, a supporting cast member behind Clark's spotlight. But when Clark sat down, Sophie stood up. By the second quarter, you could feel the shift. She was moving off the ball, cutting through defenders, drawing fouls. The Mystics couldn't keep up. Then it happened. Mystics rookie Kiki Iriafen, who had been physical all night, crossed the line. As both players went for a rebound, she grabbed Cunningham and slammed her to the hardwood. The arena gasped. Sophie popped up immediately. She got in Kiki's face, shouting back with fire in her eyes. Not only that, but she didn't back down. She got even. The refs reviewed the play and gave Iriafen a flagrant one, but for most watching, it was too soft of a penalty. That was no basketball play. It was a straight-up attack. You'd think getting bodied like that might rattle a player. Not Sophie. She only got stronger. After the flagrant, she went straight to work. Mid-range jumpers, driving layups, steals. She put her foot on the gas and never let up. The Mystics kept trying to bump her, shove her, get in her head. But Sophie wasn't playing basketball anymore. She was making a statement. By halftime, the Fever had cut the 15-point deficit down to just 3. Sophie had 12 points in just 11 minutes. She was everywhere. On the boards, on defense, diving for loose balls. The broadcast called her a dog, basketball's highest compliment. But here's the twist. The Mystics weren't done targeting her. Later in the game, another moment lit the fire even hotter. Brittany Sykes came at Cunningham again, delivering another hard shove that sent her crashing to the floor. Enough was enough. Veteran teammate Dawana Bonner stepped in instantly. She got right in Sykes' face, defending her teammate without hesitation.
So they're right here holding each other. And then a shove. Oh man, a shove right there. Dawana Bonner stepping up, saying, yeah, hey, cut that out, man. Cut that out.
This wasn't the same Indiana team that used to get pushed around. They had each other's backs now. Let's take a moment to rewind. Last season, when things got tough, the Fever folded. Opponents knew they could play rough, intimidate, and walk away with the win. But now, if you go after one, you go after all. And the Fever are done being polite about it. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull was making her own kind of noise. Coming off the bench, she gave Indiana the spark they desperately needed. 4 steals, hustle plays, diving across the floor. She added 13 points and played with a confidence no one saw coming. Coach White even put her at point guard in crunch time, a position she doesn't normally play, but Hull handled it like a pro. Not only that, but her chemistry with Cunningham was undeniable. When the Fever needed stops, they delivered. When they needed buckets, they delivered. Hull and Cunningham, now nicknamed the Blonde Bombers, weren't just fighting back, they were dominating. The Mystics came into this game thinking it would be easy. Clark was out. Indiana looked lost. But that physical play, that attempt to bully, it backfired hard. Because while the Mystics were laughing, the Fever were locking in. The second half became a clinic in resilience. Cunningham continued to score from all over the court, three-pointers, fadeaways, post-ups. And when the game went to overtime, she took complete control. Clutch free throws, smart passing, relentless defense, she was everywhere. Let's take a moment to rewind. This is the same Sophie Cunningham who had been laughed at earlier in the game. The same player the Mystics tried to humiliate. Now, she was the reason they were losing. When the final buzzer sounded, Cunningham had 21 points, 8 rebounds, and a highlight reel of pure dominance. But her stats don't tell the whole story. Her energy lifted the entire team. She raised the level of play for everyone around her. Even Coach White said it. Sophie isn't just a good player, she's the X factor. But here's the twist. This game wasn't just a win, it was a warning. To the Mystics, to the league, to anyone who thinks the Fever are just about Caitlin Clark. Because Cunningham made it clear, Indiana is deeper, tougher, and more united than ever. And if you needed proof that the Mystics knew they were beaten, not just on the scoreboard but in spirit, look at the post-game. They didn't shake hands. They walked off the court, heads down, refusing to acknowledge the very team they tried to intimidate. Why? Because they knew they lost a battle they started. They tried to bully. They tried to cheap shot. But Indiana didn't fold. They fought. Not only that, they won without their best player. Sophie Cunningham didn't just put up numbers. She changed the identity of the Indiana Fever. This team, once soft, now plays with fire. DeWanna Bonner, Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, every single one stepped up. And it started with one thing: standing up to bullies. The Fever hit 27 of 28 free throws, an incredible 96.4%. That doesn't happen by accident. That's focus. That's preparation. That's toughness. And their defense? Full court pressure. Hustle on every possession. No easy baskets for the Mystics. Let's take a moment to rewind. This was a preseason game. Just a warm-up, right? Wrong. This was the birth of a new team, a new attitude. And the fans felt it too. Over 12,000 packed into Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They watched every hit, every response, every moment Cunningham stood her ground. The crowd roared after every made bucket. They rose to their feet after every defensive stop. Cunningham later called them the sixth man. And it's true. That energy helped fuel one of the most dramatic turnarounds we've seen in Indiana basketball in years. But here's the twist. This is just the beginning. Because when Caitlin Clark returns, she's not coming back to a team that's weak or disorganized. She's joining a unit that fights, that protects each other, and that can win without her. That's dangerous. This game wasn't supposed to matter. No Caitlin, no spotlight, just a quiet preseason battle. But when Kiki Ariafen body-slammed Sophie Cunningham, she lit a fire that burned through the Mystics and left their entire strategy in ashes. Sophie didn't cry foul. She didn't complain. She responded with points, with defense, with leadership. She didn't just survive the hit. She made them pay for it. Let's take a moment to rewind one last time. Sophie Cunningham, once overlooked, now holds the torch for a new Indiana Fever identity. You can try to knock her down, but you better pray she doesn't get back up. Because if she does, she's coming straight for the scoreboard.